On March 13th, as I'm sure we all know by now, Louisville citizen Brianna Taylor was fatally shot by two plainclothes police officers while they were executing a search warrant, which turned out to be for a suspect that didn't leave the apartment. Taylor's boyfriend, Walker, shot first, striking a police officer in the leg. In response, the officers opened fire with more than 20 shots, hitting objects in both bedrooms. Taylor was struck by 8 bullets and pronounced dead at the scene.
This began one of the biggest debates of the year for the American people. Should the officers involved in the killing of Taylor be arrested and charged with a crime?
While some citizens were begging for the officers to be arrested, many citizens wanted to show sympathy for the officers, or at least wait until we knew the entire story. Even after all these months, many of what happened that night is a speculation. Regardless, this helped fuel the current tensions in our country surrounding the issue of police brutality.
This Wednesday, a grand jury released the results of their findings on the case. The jury indicted one of the officers involved with reckless endangerment for his role in the raid on the home of Brianna Taylor, but the other 2 officers who shot Taylor 8 times faced no charges.
Protesters poured into the streets of Louisville after the announcement, and at least 2 police officers were shot shortly before a 9 p.m. curfew. Regardless of your stance on the bigger issue of police shootings, we at Code Blue News would like to say rest in peace to Brianna Taylor.
Last Friday, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away after serving on the court for 27 years. Ginsburg was a strong advocate for women's rights, from arguing cases for the American Civil Liberties Union to her majority opinion in the case of the United States versus Virginia, where she wrote that women shouldn't be denied admission into the Virginia Military Institute. Caleb Tobin has more on the story.
On Friday, September 18th, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away at her home in Washington, D.C. at the age of 87. She passed away as a result of complications from pancreatic cancer, having been diagnosed and treated for cancer 4 previous times since 1999. Ginsburg started her career in 1959 as a law clerk for Judge Edmund Palmieri of the U.S. District Court for South District of New York. In 1963, she was hired as a professor at Rutgers School of Law, where Ginsburg was informed she would be paid a lower salary because her husband already had a well-paying job. In 1972, she became head of the American Civil Liberties Union's Women's Rights Project, and in 1980, President Jimmy Carter appointed her to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit in Washington, D.C. Ginsburg was nominated to the Supreme Court by President Bill Clinton in 1993, filling the seat of retiring Justice Byron White. Throughout her time on the court, Ginsburg fiercely advocated for abortion rights, saying in a 2009 New York Times interview, "The basic thing is that the government has no business making that choice for a woman." She also worked to end gender discrimination, making it clear that she believed gender equality is a constitutional right, stating, "The government must show an exceedingly persuasive justification to use a classification based on sex." In 1996, in the Supreme Court case United States versus Virginia, she voted against the Virginia Military Institute's male-only admission policy. The court ultimately struck down the admission policy with the help of Ginsburg, saying that the policy violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. However, her death also brings a new issue to the 2020 presidential election. Before her death, Ginsburg stated, "My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed." After her passing, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said that a confirmation vote for Ginsburg's replacement will take place this year. Confirming a Supreme Court justice usually takes months, but McConnell has already shown his determination to confirm someone as soon as possible, most likely before Election Day. President Trump has also expressed his desire to confirm a new justice in a tweet on Saturday, saying it is the Republicans' obligation to select a new justice without delay. There is no doubt Ruth Bader Ginsburg is an inspiration to millions of people around the world, and that she will have a lasting legacy in the U.S. It will be interesting to see how her passing will affect the upcoming election, as well as future Supreme Court rulings. This has been Caleb Tobin for Code Blue News. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Caleb. This year's virtual back-to-school night is Tuesday, September 29th. Parents will be able to virtually attend their child's abbreviated classes to get an overview of each class. Each student will receive a meeting link from their teacher, which they will then have to share with their parents. Parents can click the link at the designated time to join the meetings.
Regardless of your cohort, you can receive free lunch any day of the school week, including remote learning days. This is due to some fortunate federal funding. Joe McLaughlin has more on the story.
As you may know, Holbrook Public Schools had offered free lunch to all students at the end of the last school year when the pandemic first hit, and schools had to turn to remote learning. At the beginning of this school year, they announced that they will be providing free breakfast and lunch from now until December 31st, 2020. This is due to the USDA's recent flexibilities with school meal programs. U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue had announced this change on August 31st, 2020. As he stated in a press release, as our nation reopens and people return to work, it remains critical our children continue to receive safe, healthy, and nutritious food. We were able to catch up with Food Service Director Jacob Martin to get a recap on last year's remote learning period.
Serving lunch during the initial shutdown period between middle of March and July went really well, in my opinion. We offered a variety of sandwiches and salads and breakfast options to the community of Holbrook. Whoever was in need of a meal were able to stop by every day and pick up a breakfast and lunch. Between the period, we served over 6,000 breakfasts and 6,000 lunches. So I thought it was pretty successful.
They will also be serving free lunch Monday through Friday between 10 to 11:30 at Door 4 for those who are learning remotely. Be sure to keep in mind this does not include snacks or any extra servings that must be purchased. The accessibility to free meals for everyone allows students to eat without worry. Seniors Alana and Kylie shared their thoughts on the new changes.
There's definitely been more resources and food options for people now that Corona has happened.
I think it's a good idea for the school to expand lunch and breakfast services for free because some kids, can't always access it a lot at home and in other places like that. So I think coming to school and being able to eat a meal is a good experience.
It appears the USDA's extensions on the free food services in Holbrook Public Schools has had a positive impact. There have been no announced plans or information yet on whether or not the flexibilities will continue throughout the rest of the school year or stop after December 31st, 2020. This has been Joseph McLaughlin. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Joe. Picture Day is coming up soon, with both cohorts having a designated day. Cohort A's Picture Day is Thursday, October 1st, and Cohort B's Picture Day is Friday, October 2nd. You can go to lifetouch.com for more info and picture packages.
Student government elections are right around the corner. Andrew LaRossi has more on the specifics of running and the job of each position. Whoa, that's you.
As national election season kicks into high gear, student government elections are also coming up. There are a variety of positions from class officers to student council representatives that students can run for.
So student council representatives are students in grades 6 through 12, and they help plan school-wide events. Typically, it would be like homecoming, the pep rally, any fundraisers or anything like that. We'll be taking a more virtual route and try to be creative with some in-school ideas this year. So it'll be a little different. And then once you get to 9th grade, each grade has class officers, and they work with each individual class's advisors to plan class activities and fundraisers. Any student who wants to run for a position should send me an email. It's mgallagher@holbrook.k12.ma.us to let me know what position they want to run for or if they have any questions. So this year, where we can't do speeches in the auditorium and with the 2 different cohorts, instead, candidates for class officers in grades 10 through 12 will have the opportunity to either create a video giving their speech or write a written statement and share those with their classmates instead. Elections will be held October 8th. The ballots will go out to you through an email from Mrs. Stevenson. They'll be open during the 4th block period. So even if you're at home on that day, you want to make sure you check your email during that 4th block period And then the results will be shared on Code Blue on Friday.
This has been Andrew Rossi with Code Blue News. Back to you in the studio.
A reminder, a quick fact check on the graphic. Cohort A's picture day is October 1st, and Cohort B's picture day is October 2nd. Sorry for any confusion.
Anyway, thanks Andrew for that student government segment. Good luck to anyone running the student elections. That wraps up this week's show. I'm Kevin Hillman.
And I'm Andrew Rossi. See you next Friday.